Louis Vuitton versus Coach. What is the difference? Hello everyone, welcome back to another mommy review where I review all things for the love of. Today I am checking out Louis Vuitton versus Coach, specifically focusing on handbags and seeing is it worth it. Now I know this might sound like a ridiculous question, but if you're starting to invest into handbags for the first time, I think this is a common question that a lot of us new to the handbag world would consider. What is the difference? Why does a Louis Vuitton cost that much more? So hopefully this video will be helpful for you in deciding which handbag brand is for you. Now, before I get started, if you like the content on the channel, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for considering, and on with the video. So I always ask a lot of questions before I invest into anything with my money, and that is no exception for handbags. And I hope nobody get upset about this topic of Coach versus Louis Vuitton, because I think it's a very common question that gets asked by people who are new to the handbag world. Why does a Louis Vuitton cost so much more than a Coach handbag? What is the difference between the leather, the canvas, and also is it worth the investment? I mean, I love Coach and I also like Louis Vuitton, but is it worth spending that extra money on buying a legacy purse, for example? I've been reading a lot about how luxury has lost its luster, and many people find that a lot of the popular design houses that started out as family business have now been sold off to more mass production, and there's huge markup. And I'm not saying Coach is an exception, but these are making people rethink about where they want to spend their money if they want to support local and such. So for this video, I want to focus on what are the differences between Louis Vuitton and Coach in terms of history, what we're paying for, craftsmanship, material, aesthetic, exclusivity, price, target audience, and resale value, and finally coming to a final conclusion. This is a super thorough video, so I hope it will be helpful for you. Now, starting off with history, I think hands down Louis Vuitton has a much richer history dating back in 1854, with originating creating fine luggage and suitcases, and Coach on the other hand didn't start in New York City until 1941, which was owned by a family devoted to creating wallets and handbags. Next, in terms of what are we paying for? I mean, of course, Louis Vuitton is one of the leading names in fashion nowadays. I mean, it is within this really prestigious LVMH conglomerate, this bigger group, one of the most powerful organizations in the world, with lots of very luxury brands underneath it. So when you're paying for a handbag from Louis Vuitton, of course you're paying for the name, the history, the reputation, the status, and everything that goes along with a well-respected design house. I'm not saying that Coach doesn't have all of that. I'm saying that Coach is still considered relatively new if you compare it to Louis Vuitton, and it's a growing brand. LV tends to be associated as more of a status symbol because of its name and definitely the price range. So you are paying for the brand and the story itself. Craftsmanship. LV produces a lot of their accessories, handbags are all handmade by specialized skilled artisans in US, France, Spain, and sometimes Italy as well. Usually it takes a few days, sometimes weeks, to make some of their specialty crafted products. Whereas for Coach, on the other hand, their handbags are usually mass produced in manufacturers in China. That's not to say that Coach handbags are not well made. I think that there are a lot of good handbags from Coach as well, but it's just that they're no longer made in the US. And I can't say for Louis Vuitton that necessarily having them crafted in US or in Europe makes it any better, because there's a lot of issue associated with Louis Vuitton craftsmanship with uneven placement of handles and just a lot of issues despite paying the higher price tag. So I can't say for sure 100% that craftsmanship from Louis Vuitton is a guarantee, but definitely on average I think the standard is slightly higher for Louis Vuitton. Materials. I think Louis Vuitton is best known for their canvas, like their hard-wearing monogram Damier Sur, Damier Bin canvas that is just as luxurious, I find, as their leathers. So for Louis Vuitton, they do have leather goods as well that are generally made from cowhide leather that can be found in the form of epi leather, leather fournaise, like different types of leather as well. So I do find that the Louis Vuitton leather are a little bit higher quality, but that kind of explains the higher price point associated with LV bags. Now going to Coach, I think Coach is known for their glove tan leather, but they also have lots of smooth leather like Napa leather, natural leather, and pebble leather that they use for the majority of their handbags. Now, the brand doesn't really talk specifically about what type of leather they are using, unlike Louis Vuitton that highlights that it's cowhide leather. But I do find that the leather is very good durability. They are mostly coated, so it could be the processing that they do with it that makes it a little bit more durable. But Coach also has coated canvas, but I can't speak very much to it because I don't think there's long enough time to compare it to LV canvas in terms of its wear and how long it outlasts for leather. I would imagine the canvas for Louis Vuitton will be better quality and better durability if you have to choose between the two. Aesthetics. I think Louis Vuitton is known for like a timeless style. I think of like these classic styles like the Keepaw, the Speedy, the Almas. They're all like pieces of art and they are heavily copied and counterfeit because there is a very large market for these original classic styles. And that's why Louis Vuitton continues to preserve this tradition of like French chic elegance. Whereas for Coach, I think it's more casual, everyday use. I don't have to worry about babying my handbags. Coach, I think, is associated with more like American nostalgia, meet with like New York fashion. So the new meets the old for American traditions. As a result, it allows Coach to have a more effective reach on a wider audience. Exclusivity. LV, because it only produced a limited quantity of some of their handbags, especially limited edition items, you'll find that the Louis Vuitton handbags are a little bit more exclusive and will retain their value a little bit more, whereas Coach, like the handbags are always there if you really want one. They'll just find one from another store, so they just mass produce a lot of the Coach handbags. Now, obviously, one of the biggest difference is probably the price. The price ranges for the handbags are completely different between Louis Vuitton and Coach. Louis Vuitton is known for expensive luxury brand handbags that range at least around $2,000 to $8,000 on baseline and really can increase quite a bit in price depending on the exotic leathers and the type of handbags. Whereas Coach, on the other hand, they are referred to as affordable luxury. Their price ranges between around, I would say, $200 to $250 to around $800 or so. They're definitely a little bit more affordable and they have lots of generous sales. Whereas for Louis Vuitton, they never have sales, like never. For Coach, I love its affordability. I don't have to stress out so much when I'm using these handbags because they're a little bit lower pricing. I can see why Coach has a larger appeal because of its pricing to a larger number of people, because not everybody can afford designer expensive goods from LVMH because the prices are just like gone up so much over the last few years as well. Like Coach handbags on average are around 4 times cheaper, if not more, from average Louis Vuitton handbags. So Louis Vuitton is at least 4 times more expensive. Target audience. Now, because of the wide difference in pricing range between the two luxury brands, they have very different target markets. Customers of each of these brands have different budgets, I would say. Coach bag appeal for a younger generation, while like Louis Vuitton handbag lovers are a little bit more mature, more into like the status symbol and like have a larger budget. Next, I want to talk about resale value. Now, we know that Louis Vuitton never goes on sale, ever. So I think that has a lot to do with it, why Louis Vuitton generally have a much better resale value and holds value over time in some cases, and can be sold for more than the original retail value that you pay for many years before that. And this is a testament to the durability and possibly the quality of some of the more vintage LV products. But in my opinion, Coach still has okay resale value. It's very limited, I would say. You don't buy a Coach handbag looking to resell it. I think the reason that is such low resale value for Coach is because they send a lot of their boutique products immediately to outlet, which kills off the monetary value of it once it kind of trends out. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love a good deal at the outlet or at the Coach boutique store. But I think I really struggle to sell really good condition Coach handbags. It just doesn't do well in the pre-loved market. Whereas for LV, if you look online very closely at some of the handbags, they're generally retained as retail value, or maybe there's a difference of like $100 or $200 depending on the condition. So what is my final conclusion? I have now gone over some significant differences between Louis Vuitton and Coach, and hopefully help you decide which one is right for you. If you want something that's like good quality, good durability for everyday use, I think Coach is the way to go. But if you're looking to make an investment, I think definitely Louis Vuitton is your brand to go to. But overall, no matter what the opinions are, no one else can decide if Louis Vuitton is worth it for you or is right for you. I suggest going to the boutique, trying the handbags, and taking a look for yourself. Go home and think about it and then decide. Usually a bag will either speak to you or it doesn't. I say get what you love to carry, no matter what the brand is. Definitely try the bags out for fit, for style, for comfort at your local store, and then decide from there. I own several handbags from both brands, but honestly, I think it boils down to what you like, regardless of what the brand names are. As for durability and wear, I think both brands hold up pretty well, but I would say like sometimes some of my old Coach handbags, they're like indestructible. So hopefully you enjoyed this video so far of Louis Vuitton versus Coach. Which handbag brand is worth it more? I think at the end of the day, it's only worth it if you think it's worth it. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I would love to hear in the comments below which brand is for you. Are you on Team Louis Vuitton or Team Coach? Please comment below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next mommy review. Take care and stay safe, everyone. Bye for now.